Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the Russian line. It's the Tier 7 ISU-122S, which is a premium tank. It's in the stores now. We'll have a look at the tech spec and we'll use blitzhanger.com for that. As a premium tank though, let's firstly have a look at the credit coefficient. It's 150%, so it's pretty decent. So as you want and expect from a premium tank, it is going to earn you a decent amount of credits. Now, looking at the tank itself, I would use condensed milk, gives better view range, helps to reload. The gun, 122mm gun, as the name suggests, has very good DPM. Pen, download, all gives it very good DPM. 175mm pen with AP, 400 damage and a 7.2 second reload if you use gun rammer. 217mm of pen with APCR, 64mm of HG, again with gun rammer. Calibrated shells increases it to 184, 228 and 70mm on AP, APCR and HE respectively, and the reload increases to 7.8 seconds. The pen on this tank is pretty good anyway, so you don't need to run calibrated shells, but that's entirely up to you depending on your game style. But I would recommend that you use muzzle velocity maximization with supercharge, because 800 meters per second is low, and even with supercharge it goes up to 1040 only, which is not so high, although it is 1300 with APCR, which is very good for this tier 7 TD. Now, gun dispersion on this tank is quite high. It's almost 0.38 without refined gun, and if you use refined gun to reduce dispersion, which I'd recommend you do, it goes down to 0.33. Now, dispersion is deviation from the aiming point, which basically means a 0.33 means that you have a possibility of being 33 centimeters away from your core aiming point over 100 meters, but it increases over 100 meters, so you want to reduce that down using refined gun as much as possible. The tank does 43 kilometers forward and it does 12 in reverse, but it has a poor power to rate ratio and it has a poor traverse speed, so therefore it is not a good brawler. That is not what this tank is good at. So therefore what I would do is I would use this tank as a really classic TD, get into a good position early on and try to stay in that position as much and as long as possible. Use those DPM numbers from that sniping position. Of course, you need to rely on your teammates to help you with that, and we'll discuss that a bit during the gameplay. But to help you in this sniping position, that you have good concealment numbers. Also use the camo net. It really punches up those concealment numbers. For example, something which has a view range of 304 meters, like an RU-251, he has to get within 191 meters of you when you're using camo net and not firing. And even when you fire, he still has to get in within approximately 240 meters of you to spot you. So really good camo numbers, which are perfect for sitting back in a good sniping position and utilizing that DPM. The reload on this tank is really good. It's only 7.3 seconds if you use gun rammer. Even if you use calibrated shell, it's 7.8. At 400 plus damage points per minute, this tank is a DPM monster. And it's not just theoretical DPM, it's actual DPM. That is the number of shots that pen multiplied by the number of shots you fire, as opposed to the number of shots you fire assuming they pen, which is theoretical DPM, is really, really good on this tank, and you'll see that in action in the game as well. In terms of armor, you can side scrape a little bit in this tank. It has good relative armor numbers on the side, has a big gun mantle which is going to get you some bounces, and it has a bit of frontal armor. On the back it is vulnerable, but particularly on the back of the turret where you have light armor. It has 6 degrees of gun depression, 18 of elevation. 6 degrees of gun depression is not good, but the 18 degrees of elevation is important because it means when you're on a hill, and we're going to see a game in Canal where we go to the hill at A. Gun elevation is important because if you're facing down, you need to elevate the gun up for gun alignment to get your shots onto the target, and therefore the gun elevation is quite important on TDs, more so than it is on any other types of tank. Now, in terms of tactics, as we discussed, use simple, basic, classic TD tactics. Get into a good sniping position earlier on. Hopefully your meds and light tanks will spot, and you can farm damage using that high DPM, high pen, and that's why we also want to use camo net. refined gun to reduce dispersion over distance, and muzzle velocity maximization through supercharge to make sure that the shells travel as quickly as possible across the distance, and also maximize the possibility of penning, because muzzle velocity is squared in the formula for armor penetration. Now let's have a look at some gunplay. Gameplay, which is also gunplay. We're on Canal, it's a supremacy map, and I decided to go to A, as is very important in all games, and we've discussed this before, is communication. So I tell my team where I'm going and what I'm doing, so that they know exactly what I'm doing. They can agree, disagree, whatever, but I've told them what I'm doing, so at least they can't complain I'm not communicating. And communicating is a key part of playing Blitz. We see that the enemy has gone towards B, probably with their heavies, and I'm just going to punch it towards A. I want to cap A, which is good, solid supremacy play, as quickly as possible, get those points on the board, and then I want to move up to this high point on the map, the highest point of the map, open up significant fields of fire to utilize the DPM on this tank. So this is again the classic tactics that we discussed when we looked at the tech spec, right? Altered slightly because this is a supremacy game, so we want to cap A, successfully capped A. Now we have 2-to-1 on bases, so we have an advantage there. You can see our score, we've overtaken the enemy now, even though they capped first, because we've got 2 bases. And now I'm using this TD to get into a classic sniping position on this map. And this is basically, this is sniping 101 and how you should use a TD on a map like this. Again, we look here, this is the benefit of using supercharge, penning over distance, smashing into that Tiger P. You'll see that it does have patchy gun handling. That's the aiming time and the dispersion. Even when you use supercharge, the dispersion is still quite high. That's why I would definitely recommend you use supercharge. Again, you see the lack of muzzle velocity there on standard AP rounds. I don't pen the ISU-122 over the longer distance, but nonetheless, you need to be aware that this tank's gun handling is a little bit patchy, as you expect from a Russian TD. That's why you need to offset it using refined gun and supercharge. And as I said, you can use gun rammer if you want to, or you can also use calibrated shells. I personally use gun rammer. I like to fire more often than not, but it's not such a big deal if you use calibrated shells to get that extra pen, because the reload is the only difference is 7.3 to 7.8. So it really just depends on your own gameplay and your own game philosophy. Again, you see nice deflection shot on the Tiger 2, accounting for the slower shell velocity that I have. Then punch it, and we take out the Tiger 2. Still a tank down. Switch up to APCR. I now have 1300 meters per second muzzle velocity. Try a spec shot on him. Not sure if it went through or not. We'll see later on. Now, for the first time I'm spotted in this game. Clear off the SU this time. And now I've resetting camo. You can see the WZ has lost me. He doesn't know where I am. Punch around into the side of him. And I'm going to put one into the back of him. I could go for a HE here, but I decided to go on the safe side because he's a 2-shot regardless. So I decided to go on the safe side and put an AP round into him, because HE is more splashy over a distance, more patchy handling. I'm going to put one into the SU now. And we can see, I'm up at now 2.5k of damage. I'm really utilizing the strengths of this tank. Fire one on spec. This is the advantage of having a TD like this with a very good rate of fire. You can afford to fire shots on spec. If you have a TD, for example, tier 7 Blaze, right, has quite a long reload, so therefore you're more reluctant to fire shots on spec because you have a significant amount of time to wait to reload to fire another one. When you have just over a 7-second reload like you have on this, when you're using gun rammer, you can afford to pop off a few shots on spec, because it's not going to be long before you can have another one loaded up the pipe and you're ready to go again. So that's the advantage of having the faster reload on this tank. And you're doing 400 plus damage per shot as well, so it's not just a fast reload, you're also doing a lot of damage with each shell. And if you can pump a HE round in, even better. Again, we see here the difference and the influence that the dispersion and the long aiming time has. That other SU came up, he totally fluffed his shot. That's dispersion in action, and the aiming time. Also, he was coming from a moving position. For me, in a standing still position, just traverse, and I'm able to clear him off. My pent, he didn't. I fired a couple of shots on spec at that Pantera. Again, you can do that when you have fast reloading tank like this, and eventually the third one goes through. So there we go, tier 7 TD, delivering almost 4k of damage, huge carry, 6 kills. Maybe you might have got the whole 7 if the game had gone on a bit longer. Big carry, and really utilising the strengths of this tank. A bit about sniping. We have a sniping guide on channel. I would suggest if you haven't that you watch that. Watch the TD guide and the sniping guide. You will see people who don't understand the game calling you a camper and stuff like that. When you're in a TD, sniping is your job. The difference between camping and sniping is when you're active causing damage. Camping is when you're sitting there doing nothing. If you're in a position as I was in that map where you have fields of fire opened up, a large number of targets, and you do a lot of damage, you are not camping, you are sniping. And sniping is a valid and important part of the game, and is the job of a TD. You can see here sharpshooter, Hallandon's medal. You also got sniper tanker, and they're really the badges you want to get when you are in a TD, right? More so than mastery badges. Sniper tanker and sharpshooter, these are the badges you want. That shows you're doing your job. Now let's have a recap. This is an excellent TD, good premium tank too. It's on sale at the moment in the shop with the AT-15A for about €20, which is not bad at all. Has excellent actual DPM, the damage points, the reload and the pen are a fantastic combination. It's classic TD that suits itself to classic TD play. Get into a sniping position and maximize that DPM. 122mm gun works. It's patchy, of course it is, but if you use supercharged and refined gun, you can offset that. Calibrated shells or gun rammer, both work on it. It's up to you, depends on your playstyle. It isn't really a bad choice either way. 6 degrees of gun depression is not great, but the 18 degrees of elevation is good and is important for a TD. Muzzle velocity, it's only 1040 meters per second with AP and HE using supercharge. With APCR it goes up to 1300, so make sure that you're aware of that. APCR gives you a higher muzzle velocity. Has poor power to weight ratio, and it is a poor brawler because it also has poor traverse. Camo net, you have to use that. The concealment numbers are excellent when you use it, and then it's a sniper's sniper of a tank. Music is Sancien, Danse Macabre, and the background music on the tech spec is the Horde from the Warcraft original soundtrack, which I hope you enjoyed. And it was a bit of a Danse Macabre from the ISU-122S in that game. So cheers Mush, thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful, I hope you found it enjoyable, and I guess all that remains for me to say is pants off.